President Trump out of sight, staying behind closed doors inside the White House today, but we know what's on his mind. Breaking news tonight. A source is telling CNN that the president has expressed concern that he could be impeached when the Democrats take control of the House in January. Okay? And also tonight, 44 former U.S. senators writing an op-ed in the Washington Post. Here it is. They are warning that the country is entering, there's an op-ed, entering what they call a dangerous period, and calling on current senators to zealously guard our democracy. They say they feel an obligation to speak up about serious challenges to the rule of law, to the Constitution, our governing institutions, and our national security. When have you heard of anything like that? This is at the same time as prosecutors for the first time implicate President Trump, implicate him in possible criminal activity, accusing him as a candidate for office of directing his former personal lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, to pay hush money to buy the silence of two women who claimed to have had affairs with Trump. Prosecutors writing in the Cohen document this, as Cohen himself has now admitted with respect to both payments, he acted in coordination with and at the direction of individual one. You know who prosecutors say is individual one? They identify him as Donald Trump. The president lashing out at the accusations this morning in a tweet, misspelling, by the way, the word smoking, and here's what he writes. He says, Democrats can't find a smoking gun tying the Trump campaign to Russia after James Comey's testimony. No smoking gun, no collusion. That's because there was no collusion. So now the Dems go to a simple private transaction, wrongly call it a campaign contribution, which it was not. Lawyer's liability if he made a mistake, not me. Cohen just trying to get his sentence reduced. All right, there's a lot in there, and we'll talk about it. So let's break down some of what he is claiming there, okay? He's admitting payments were made. Now he's admitting it. He didn't before. But he is admitting payments were made to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, but he is dismissing them as simple private transactions. There's always an excuse for why he lied. But he can't keep his story straight. So remember when he lied about the payments when questioned by reporters on Air Force One? This was back in the spring. Let me remind you. Here it is.
Mr. President, did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth or allegation?
Well, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
Do you know where he got the money to make that payment?
No, I don't know.
Okay, well, here's what prosecutors have to say about it. In their court filing, they flat out call the payments illegal campaign contributions. Illegal campaign contributions. I want you to listen to this closely because this has been bugging me for the last few days when I just want to scream at the television when I see it. President Trump and his apologists, okay, if you're one of them, listen, working very hard to claim that this is business as usual. And even if it wasn't, it's just like what Obama did during his campaign. That is a flat out lie. Legal experts will agree. Do a fact check, will you? And let me give you some now. And we'll talk about it more in this show. The Obama campaign did miss filing deadlines and did not promptly refund excess contributions, which they admitted and they paid the fines. Some of my guests will tell you campaigns are fined for doing that all the time. Sometimes there are clerical errors, sometimes there are other reasons. That is not the same at all as creating a shell company or using a media company to pay hush money for affairs with a porn star and a Playboy model during an election so that the public, the voting public, wouldn't find out. It is not the same at all. Come on. Don't be stupid. Don't think that people are stupid by pretending that this is equal and the same thing. It is not. Democrats who are about to take over key House investigative committees with subpoena power issuing warnings to the president. Listen.
They would be impeachable offenses. Whether they are important enough to justify an impeachment is a different question, but certainly they'd be impeachable offenses.
My takeaway is there's a very real prospect that on the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him, that he may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
So after Robert Mueller and the New York prosecutors filed their sentencing documents on Friday, President Trump incredibly tweeted this message. Totally clears the president. Thank you. Okay, I say that again. Totally clears the president. Thank you. How he came to that conclusion is mind-boggling. The filings say nothing of the kind. And Mueller points out that Michael Cohen was working on the Trump Tower Moscow project well into June of 2016 and keeping Trump in the loop about it, when Trump basically had the GOP nomination in hand and the Russians were interfering in the election. But as usual, President Trump's deflecting, saying this at the White House on Saturday.
On the Mueller situation, we're very happy with what we are reading because there was no collusion whatsoever. There never has been. The last thing I want is help from Russia on a campaign.
That is an interesting statement, especially in light of reporting that now shows at least 16 associates Donald Trump had contacts with Russians during the 2016 campaign and the transition period following Trump's election victory. And remember, Russia, go on you if you know the emails, send them out. Didn't need Russia's help, though. The walls are closing in, and we can expect Trump's tweets to get even angrier and more unhinged.